All right, so here's what we're doing today. We've got standard deviation. Now, standard deviation is really not difficult. It's more annoying than anything because of all the steps. Okay? But I will walk you through that. And no, this is the second half of chapter 11. Chapter 11 was probability statistics, but it was so long and like so different that we decided to split it and do probability first and then statistics. Now the next chapter, this is statistics, so we're doing standard deviation today. No, I know, but like 11.7. Yeah, we skipped 11.6. So now we just have 7, 8, 9, and 10. And that'll be done with this chapter, and then the next one, I forget what, I think it is 12. It'll be a long one, no. 11, yes. Why? They skipped it? We shouldn't skip it. I'll check right now. We shouldn't. Okay. You know what? Instead of giving you the slide, here's what I'm going to do. Here is the formula for variance. It is, what does this symbol mean, guys? Addition. So you need to add all the x minus x bar, square them, divide by n.
Is that r squared? I don't know what.
R? No, this is a sigma. This is the lowercase letter of this guy right here, of the sigma. This right here is capital sigma. This over here is lowercase sigma. And it's like an O with a little, like an Elvis hairdo kind of thing. It's weird. It's like, wow, that's how I draw it. Kind of like a cursive O that's backwards. And I know it's not right either, but.
Wait, is it supposed to be an O?
No, it's a sigma.
It
It's
looks
an
like
S.
a T trying to decide whether it's a J or not.
Okay.
What is that?
This is what you need to know. This is the formula for finding variance. Why is this board all weird?
Is that an R in the beginning?
Variance. V-A-R-I-A-N-C-E.
No, is that R squared?
X minus X bar squared. It's X minus X bar. It's X with a bar above it.
She's talking about before.
This?
No.
This?
No, on the other side of the equation.
This?
Yeah.
That's a sigma. That's a sigma. That is the Greek letter sigma. Sigma. That's this one right here. You see it? This is that symbol right here. Sig. Oh, this is not going to write. Lowercase s. Go back.
Slenderman?
What is that?
What are you teaching in here?
I just tapped on the. There we go. This one right here. This is lowercase sigma. That's what I'm writing. That is sigma. That is Greek.
I can't unsay that.
Stop, Slenderman. I don't want to be your disciple. All right, cool. So, you guys have that? Variance. I'll tell you what I know about variance. Variance is supposed to be a measure of spread. Kind of like, you guys know range, right? You guys know the word range? That's it. Variance falls in the same category. Variance is useless. Sorry to say that, but it is. Whenever we do statistics, they're gonna ask you questions about variance and what is the variance and how do you get variance and blah 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 variance. But we don't really care about variance in statistics. What we really do care about is a thing called standard deviation. Standard deviation. And here's here's a symbol for standard deviation. The symbol for standard deviation is that. Is sigma by itself. Now, this is some rocket science here. You guys see the formula above? What's the formula above for? Variance. And down below is standard deviation, right? How do you think they got standard deviation from variance? Yeah, they square rooted it. Because to get rid of the square, the opposite of squaring is square rooting, right? So when you take the square root of both sides, you'll get that formula right there. Well, this formula is that. It's the sum of the x minus x bar squared over n. This formula in red is for standard deviation. Standard deviation.
What is the bar with the X?
Thank you for asking. What is this x bar you're doing, right? All right, well, let's talk about these real quick. And I'll do it in blue. X. X is for the raw data. X is for the raw data. So when you get a list of numbers, those are the X. Make sense? I'll put a little pound sign there. Now, what is this thing we call X bar? Everybody has done X bar before. Have you guys ever found average? Okay. That symbol right there is a symbol for mean. M-E-A-N. And mean is just like an average. Okay, you add up all the numbers and divide by how many there are. So that symbol is for the mean. So this is the mean. Guys, what does sigma mean? Capital sigma mean? Addition. It means add. So this is telling you to add them. And then finally, n. N is for sample size. N is for sample size. Sample size. Oops. Fix it that way. Made a cursive. What does sample size mean? It means how many you have. So if I had 10 numbers, then what size is my sample size? Yeah. If I had 13 numbers I had to add, then I have an n of 13. N is sample size.
So the X, the numbers, like the numbers added together
It's the actual numbers. It's raw data.
in the equation.
Yeah, in this equation, it's just actual. It's kind of weird formula, but I'll walk you through it. You'll see what we're doing there, G, and then you should be okay with it. What? What is n? N is sample size. So like if you have 10 numbers, then your n is equal to 10. Okay? Now, why is this even important, right? Why do I gotta find me some standard deviation? Okay? Let's talk about what standard deviation means. But to do that, I'm gonna do like I did the other class. I am going to, can I get rid of this slide? Yeah? Alright. So, and I'm gonna make up a new set here. I hope I remember because I like the other one. I went 1, 2, 3, 4. Was it 1, 3, 4? I think it was 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5, 9, 12, 16. Okay, cool? So, I have just some numbers up there. What's my n? What is n here? The 7. Now, I did put them in order for you guys. Can you guys find me the average of that real quick? Can you guys find me x bar, please? N here is 7 because there are 7 numbers. Can you find me x bar, please? Oh, I don't like this. I gotta say 0.85.
I might be wrong.
Say 0.5? Alright, let's change. Let's change it to a 17. Let's see what that does. Yeah, change that 16 to a 17. just because I want some nice whole numbers in here. Okay? What does that give you an x bar of? Seven, right? Okay, cool. Now that's just a coincidence, but whatever. So I have an n of 7 and an x bar of 7. It means two different things, doesn't it? Okay? This good? Everyone okay still? Not so bad, right? Okay. So I'm going to use red in here, and I'm just going to put a line in here because that's not really part of it, right? That's just the middle. Well, I shouldn't say the middle. It's the mean number. It's the average in there. Now, let's talk about this real quick. How far away is 7 here? It's 2 above, isn't it? So that's a plus 2. How about 12? From 7? 5? And then this is 10? So then what about 5? Minus 2. And that one? Minus 4. And then 2. Minus 5. And then 1. All right, cool. So everyone understand that those plus and minus numbers in there are how far away they are from the mean, right? Everyone understand that? Everyone's cool with that? Zach, we're good? All right. I'm ready to tell you what standard deviation is. Standard deviation is the average distance all of the ends have from x bar. Simple enough, huh? It's so easy. G. What is standard deviation? It's not the numbers between. What is it? It's the average of the distances from x bar. X bar is 7, right? Now, everyone knows how to find an average, correct? Okay, go. Find me an average of the distances, please. Yeah, all the distances are there. How do you find an average? Add them up and divide by? Yeah. So you have to take -5 plus -6 plus -4 plus -2 plus 2 plus 5 plus 10. Shh, silence.
Would they count as actual negatives?
Yeah, those are those because yeah, they are negative distance, right?
Oh, okay.
Are we recording? This isn't streaming.
It says you're live. I got
Okay.
a notification.
All right. I'm just not showing it here. That's cool. What's 0?
Yeah, because
0?
Yeah, it's 0.
Sophia, what'd you get? Did you add up all those numbers up there? Those pluses and minuses?
You add the 7 plus 0.
No, because that's average.
Wait, you're adding like the negatives?
So here's what I'm saying. All right, so let's do this real quick. If I were to add I want to add all of these together. I get 0, don't I? And if I take 0 and then divide it by 7, I get 0. That's kind of messed up, isn't it? But. I should be able to find an average of those distances, shouldn't I? I mean, it's not impossible. I know their distances. A lot of people want to say, hey, Mr. Munoz, just take the absolute value since they're distances, right? But once I do something to a math problem, I've changed it. And if I change something, I have to be able to change it back. How do you undo absolute value? That's a good question, huh? Because I always thought every operation has its inverse. But absolute value, you really can't, because absolute value is just an idea, isn't it? It's a distance. It's positive, always. So, here's what we're going to do. Where did it go? Is it this slide? Yeah. So, notice the difference. You see how up here, you guys see this, the standard deviation formula? I have x minus x bar, and then I have the sum of them. So that's me adding them. What does this always make, the blue part? It will always make 0. It doesn't matter what number sets you have, which is really, really cool. Like, you can pick whatever number sets, and if you do the blue part, you're going to get 0. So before we add them, before we do the sigma part of it, we're going to do this part, and then we're going to square them. Because what's a negative times a negative? Positive. And then positive times a positive? Positive. So we square them. I have to be able to undo that too, though, right? So how do I get rid of squaring something? What is that? Square root. So we're still doing the average thing. See, it's all the numbers added together divided by how many there are. So we're still doing average, except to fix our 0 issue, we're going to square them, and then when we get done, we'll take the square root of them. Okay? So let me walk you through that process. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to make a table. And I'm just going to do this all over again from scratch. Is that cool with you guys? Because this is what you're going to want to do. So go ahead and make a space in your notes there and make this table. So right now, let's do this. Just like,
It gotta be big.
nah, just enough to fit these numbers. And then you're going to need maybe 1, 2 more columns. Okay? So, I want you to think about this as a new problem because I don't want you to relate it to the other stuff. Because you're going to feel like, man, this is forever. And it's really not. We've been doing some stuff with it, talking about it, but we really haven't done the math of finding standard deviation, okay? That make sense? So, shake this off, act like it's a new problem. Okay. All right, cool. You guys ready? Okay. Now, I'm showing you by hand because this might be on your writing final, where you have to do all this process. Does that make sense? And I want you to be able to be ready for that. I don't want you like, Munoz, you never showed me how to do it by hand. So, first one, we're going to write all of our x's in there, which happen to be 1, 2, 3, 5, 9. I'm not going to fit here, are they? Let me do this. Whoa! And then finally, 16. Oh, my bad. Okay? Get rid of all this. I did keep some information because we're going to need it anyway, which is these right here. And I want to write the formula. Because I'm going to just... I'm going to throw it up here. Just so we can follow it. Yeah. We're good. So here's where I'm starting. I wrote down my x's, right? You cool with that? And I want to find those differences, those distances, remember? So that is x minus x bar. And we know that the x bar was 7. So this was what, like -6? Right? This was negative. Thanks for calling me out.
Yeah, Mr. Munoz, pen.
Thanks for calling me out. But see, you know what you're doing already. You're awesome. So that's -5, yes?
Yeah.
This is -4. -2, 2, 5, and then 10?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we know if we add these at this point, but doesn't work. So here's my column with x minus x bar. On the next column, guess what I'm going to do? I don't want to add them yet. I want to make sure I square them so that there's no negatives in there. Right? Because remember, if I add up this column, what do I get?
0.
When? Always. So the next column is simply going to be x minus x bar squared. So that's going to give me 36, 25, 16, 4, 4, 25, and 100. Okay? I just squared all of those numbers. Cool? So that means I am up to here. I've done all of this so far. Now, what do I have to do? Add them up. And yay for my calculator.
Nope, all by hand.
Yeah, no thank you. 36 plus 25 plus 16 plus 4 plus 4. I got a 210. So the sum is 210. So now I have all of that blue part, right?
Oh, I missed a 4.
Yeah, so there you go. So 206 plus 4 gives you...
Wait, is this another card?
No, I just made a note because I have the sum of them. Right? So now I have all that blue. What's next in my formula? Divide by n. And how many are there? So I'm going to divide that by 7. So divide by 7. That gives me 30. That 30, guys? What's up?
Are there any more columns to be added?
Nope. We're done. Oh, we're almost done.
We put the square.
I haven't square rooted, have I? Let me just remind you real quick. If I haven't square rooted, where am I at? I'm in variance. So they might ask you for that number. So I always like to just mark it and say I'm at variance right now. So if I ever need that number for a question, I can come back to it. But am I really after variance? No. What am I after? I'm after standard deviation. So I'm going to square root my answer. And I got 5.477. There it is. Cool. Okay, you gotta know how to do that by hand. I'm going to show you a way to use these calculators to help you make that process a little bit easier. Is that cool with you guys? Yes, please. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Let me grab my calculator. Second, man. I want to just reset this real quick. Yeah, sure. All right, cool. So, I want to do some stats, right? There's a button here. It says stat. I'm going to push it. It's going to take me to something like this. Now I want to push edit. Stat, edit. Stat, edit. Stat, edit. That becomes like second language to AP kids for next year. So, in L1, I'm going to put all my X values in there. Because what were they again? 1, 2, 3, 5?
5, 9, 12, 7.
Wait, how are you putting it in? Oh,
Just-
1 enter?
Yeah, 1 enter, 2 enter, 3 enter, 5 enter, 9 enter, 12 enter, 17 enter. Okay? You guys cool with that? Okay, now, I have a calculator. I don't want to sit there and try to figure it out by myself. The second option to stat is list. And that means these things right here, because these are lists. It's kind of like an Excel spreadsheet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quit real quick. I'm going to go to this home screen. Huh? Don't worry, the numbers don't go away. They'll be there for you when you come back, okay? Yeah, second quit. So I'm back at the home screen. And I want to find that mean, that average. So I'm going to go second list. And I'm going to do some math on this. You guys see number 3? 3 yeah, 3 says mean. You're mean. I'm going to push 3. Oops. Go to. Don't hit enter. I want the mean of L1. And you see number 1 has that L1 option on it as a second. So I'm just going to go second, L1. And then I'm going to press enter. Oh, look at it. So there's my mean. Yay. Cool.
Why did you have to close it?
Because I'm not really doing anything else. If you close it, it's fine. That's a better habit than not. That's better. It's better that you do it than you don't. The more you use these, you'll know what you can get away with. And I know I can get away with that. So I got my average. Okay. So I'm going to go back to that stat, edit. See, there's my number still waiting for me. Now check this out.
How do you clear like the numbers off here? Because I have numbers at
Go highlight the top like this, and then push clear. Do not push delete.
It's not working.
Why?
Clear and then enter.
Oh.
Okay? If you push delete, your whole L2 is going to go away. You delete the entire list. You just want to clear it. Okay? We can get those back by doing a reset kind of like I did, but it's not always that fun.
It takes a long time.
It's kind of annoying after a while. So just get used to doing clear, okay? Or here's another trick too, guys. If you have a lot, if you go back to that mem where I was at, see this number 4 option? That will kill all your lists as well. It'll leave it blank, but I don't want to, so I'm going to go back to stat edit. Okay, now check this out. I've got my data. I know my average in my head. I'm going to go to L2 and I'm going to go up here. This cell kind of works like Excel type stuff. You know that little bar at the top where you can type formulas in? That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to type this in. Parenthesis. What did the formula say? It was x minus x bar squared, right? Where's my x's at?
Wait, how did you get the right one?
How did I get what? Highlight the top of the next list.
Well, it's highlighted, but.
And then just start typing. I just said parenthesis. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so I have parenthesis, x minus x bar. X are these guys, right? In the column. So I'm going to go L1, because that's all my x's. And I'm going to take away, how much? 7, because that was my average, wasn't it? Close parenthesis. Not even yet, because I can do the square at the same time. I can use one less column here. I can do one less column here by just pushing the square button. Now I've got the whole top part, don't I? Isn't that cool? Now I just push enter. Boom. And there's all those numbers. Now, of course, if you're doing this on a paper test, you want to transfer all those to your paper.
You want to do the x minus x bar separately?
We did.
I mean, like.
Oh, it's up to you. Yeah, if they want all the lists, then yeah, I would hit enter and then squared them, but I would just make sure that you do the heading, okay? That this is your x minus x bar quantity squared, and then put that in the list, okay? All right, so we've got this. What do we need to do next at this point? Look at the formula. Add them up.
Yeah.
We got to add them up, right? What's up?
So, how do you like restart it? My L3 is gone. I got that. Click the arrow and delete
Go to second mem, reset everything.
the second what?
Second memory. Memory is going to be above the plus sign.
Second plus 7.
Okay? So I'm going to quit here real quick. Let's finish this problem. I'm going to quit because I want to be here where I do my number stuff. And then I'm going to go to second stat again, which gives me the lists. And over in the math block, look at number 5. Number 5 is the sum of which list now?
L2.
L2.
Wait, how did you find what?
Reset default.
Yeah, reset all defaults. Okay, so I've got the sum of L2, which is all those x minus x bar squares. I also need to divide by how many numbers there are, don't I? I can do that right now too. So I'm going to divide by n. What was n again? 7. So I put a 7 in there. Push enter. What number is this? This is variance.
Wait, Mr. Middlebury, how did you do that with 700?
Second list. And then go over to math.
Oh, and then you put the 7.
Yeah. Okay. So am I done? Do I have my standard deviation? No. What should I do then? Square root that. This is how I do it. I go second square root, second answer. And there it is, guys. 5.477.
Wait, what did you do? Second, huh?
Second square root. And I threw the answer in there. So second answer. Cool? Nice?
I
Okay.
gotta remember all those steps.
Yes, you can go back, watch the video. I've recorded it. Please, 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 please. Go back and make sure you're comfortable with those steps. Because if the paper test says, show all your work for standard deviation, guess what you got to do? this. Now, I'm going to show you guys how to do stuff easier using your calculator. Okay? Actually, I want to show you some things. This one, please don't write it down. I don't want to confuse you. I don't know if anybody noticed. If I did go to list, math, option number 7 is standard deviation, isn't it? So I want to take standard deviation of L1, second L1, and look at those numbers. They don't match. They don't match. They don't match because, if you want to know, take AP Stats.
That's
I'm not taking it.
No, I'm not going to do that to you. Let me show you why, okay? You guys see how they're not the same number? All right, cool. So I'm going to do something else to you. I want you to make note of those two numbers, though. Clear. This is something we run in statistics. I'm going to go stats, calculate one variable statistics, which is option 1. I'm going to do it with the first list, and I'm going to calculate. It's going to spit out this whole thing of information. You guys see it? And I want you to notice that both of our numbers are right there. See them? Standard deviation of x, standard deviation of x. Okay? Both those numbers are there. Because technically, they're both standard deviations. One of them, however, is the standard deviation of population data. That's this bottom one, the one with the lowercase sigma. That is the standard deviation of the population. If those 7 numbers were all of the numbers in a specific population, then I would use that number in the bottom. If it was a sample, the top one, if it was a sample, I would use the 5.91. The top one is the standard deviation of a sample from the population. So let's do this. Sigma x is standard deviation for all of them. So think about a dog pound, okay? And all the dogs that live in a dog pound. And I wanted to find their average weight or something, okay? So I can find the average weight, and I can find, because they're all going to be a little bit fatter, some are going to be a little skinnier, right? That standard deviation would tell me how far apart on the weights they are. So it'd be, according to this, some weigh 5 pounds more, some weigh 5 pounds less. So they're all within 5 pounds. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That's if that was every single dog in there. Now, let's say I only took 50 of the dogs in the dog pound. And I did the same thing again. Well, is that representative of all of the dogs in the dog pound if I only took 50 of them? No, even though they might have more or less than that, right? That's the number on the top. So I'm using a few of them to guess what the weights of all of them would be. Which is something you don't have to worry about now. That's what I'm saying. Take AP Stats. The bottom one is the one you're after right now. So that was pretty easy though, right? Did you guys see what I did?
I didn't do that.
Okay, so let me do it one more time for you. So here's what you would do, Subia. You put all your data into L1. Cool? Everyone's okay with that part, right? Then I would go over to stat, calculate, option 1, which is one variable statistics. I would say my data is in L1. Don't worry about frequency, and then calculate. And it's going to spit out that list.
You just press out.
Mm-hmm.
You just press enter.
And the one I would be after would be here. Now this is a lot of information, guys. This top one, what is it? What's X bar? It's my average.
Oh.
And this will give me the sum of the x's. So if I add up all the x's, what is this? It's the sum of the squares, which is kind of weird. I don't know why we want that. Well, if you want to know, take AP Stats. This will tell us how many numbers we had in our list. The minimum, quartile 1. The median, quartile 3. The max. So if I push down, it gives me more stuff. See that? But you don't need all that. All you need right now is this number, right? You guys cool with that?
Yeah.
All right. This is if you're going to take a test with me. Because remember, we don't have Desmos anymore. You still need to know how to use Desmos. Why?
Why don't we have this?
Cheaters.
How do you cheat?
Whenever we didn't use the lockdown browser, people were opening up their chapter reviews and their tests side by side. And they were just finding other problems.
How
And
does that, what does that do with Desmos?
Well, you can't.
Oh, because the lockdown.
it's a lockdown browser. Now, you still need to know how to use it. Go ahead.
Certain sites are accessible though.
We've tried that, but people use Siphon. They'll find a way to block net support. Like I know kids that say, you know what, don't look at me, and they'll do something and they block me. So I'm not gonna play those games. We just went with lockdown browser. Now, let's do this real quick. Here's Desmos. You need to know Desmos because guess where you do get to use Desmos? AZ Merit and at home. But AZ Merit will have Desmos in there.
Can we use calculators for AZ Merit?
Yes. Yeah, so you can use this or you can use Desmos. So right on, right? Okay, check this out. Down here is the keyboard, correct? Click that. Do you see the button that says functions? There we go. There's a stats tab. Down below, there's a button that says standard deviation. What's my standard deviation? What were my numbers? It was 1, 2, 3, 5, 9, 12, 17. And, oh no, that's the other one. Let me see if there's if we have both standard deviations. Yeah, next to it, I think. Oops. Oops. Yeah, P for B population. Yeah, so you want the second one. Standard deviation population. You want standard deviation P. So again, 1, 2, 3, 5, 9, 12, 17, and there it is. Standard deviation P. Okay? All right, questions?
So that'll be like on tests where the question comes up instead of like the writing final having to do a little.
Right, you can do that if you want. Okay? All right, cool. Done.